Craft, Banter and Chat.
Craft, Banter and Chat.
Take 1.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes, hello and welcome. So this is a podcast.
Podcast, all modern now.
I know. It's strange.
I've finally reached the 19th century with a podcast.
What, with radio?
Yeah. I'm on the air.
I'm
on the
radio,
airwaves.
isn't it?
Yeah, I'm on the airwaves. I've got YouTube too, so I'm on the telebox. I'm on Tinternet, as my dad would say. Or in the Tinternet.
So, hello everyone.
Hello.
For those that don't know who we are, where have you been?
Yeah, where have you been? What are you doing? Why aren't you here?
We are... well, I am. I don't know who we are, but I know that I am Dave from Dash of Dave. I am the Dave in the Dash of Dave. I put the dash in the... no, I put the Dave in the dash.
You are just a dash of.
Yeah.
Mr. Dash of Dave. Sir Dave to his friends. And I'm...
You can call me what you like behind my back. Okay?
And we do. And I'm Brian. Also known as the Silvered Fox. To those that know who I am.
And to those that don't.
And to those that don't, I am still the Silvered Fox.
Yeah.
And
it's just not what they call you.
And, yeah, and you'll learn.
So, yeah, we're both paper crafters now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Would you consider yourself a paper crafter primarily?
Yeah. I still have this weirdness about paper and fabric, and like I still find it really hard to use fabric in journals and use a sewing machine. It's just sacrilege to use a sewing machine because I know the damage it does.
A sandwich machine? No, nothing. Don't use a sandwich machine. To use a sewing machine for paper?
Yeah, because I know what damage it does to your sewing machine.
I know, but I'm never going to use it for anything else.
Not you.
It
not
just
you.
gather dust if I didn't use it.
I still find it hard to use mine. I've used it occasionally, and every time I do, I have to clean out the inside of my sewing machine and get rid of all the glue, and then have a little cry. for all those people that are going, oh my god, what?
Mourning the loss of another sewing machine.
I trained in fashion, so my background fabric and my hoard. If you see my hoard, I've got a paper.
Wardrobe's fabric.
Your wardrobe would.
Yeah, that's true.
I have a paper stash these days. Getting quite
obsessive.
Well, unmanageable. It's like when everybody says, I've got so many 12x12s, and I'm like, I never got into that craze because I learned from Dave not to just buy every one that you could find. And then I was looking the other day and I thought, yeah, that just went out the window very quickly. So now,
really? Have you got loads of 12x12?
I'm as bad as everybody else now.
Although you have got 12x12s that I've had. So the things that I've got rid of, you've sifted through and said, oh, I'll have that. Yeah. And I bet there aren't any of those that you've used, unless you've used them to cover up by collaging. No,
there's quite a lot that I've used actually.
Well, actually used. And you can see.
And you can see. A coffee dye.
Used, and you can see.
Yeah. A coffee dye a lot of them. And then I've got a lot of graphic 45 because I went through a phase of wanting all the graphic 45.
But graphic 45 is like you need a mortgage.
I know,
no wonder you'll never have a pension, Brian.
I don't need a pension. I've got one coming. It's all sorted. But yeah, my fabric hoard's like 5 times the size of my paper hoard. And I don't need an excuse to buy.
Yeah, I know,
fabric.
But is that not because it takes up more space?
No, it's just because I've got more of it. Half the attic's fabric.
Oh, right.
So, and I don't have to justify buying fabric where I always... Well, I don't have to justify buying paper, but I try to. I try to say this is what I want this for. Whereas with fabric, I just go, pretty, I want it now.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have it for no reason.
So, but I think if it wasn't for you, so I got you into papercraft.
That is very true.
Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think I would not have considered fabric in craft had it not been for you, because now I look at fabric and think, oh, I like that. So I'll buy scrap fabric and maybe only use it, like little pieces of it, in my craft, or I'll use like a big piece of fabric, but I'll use it as a backdrop for putting on my desk to take photos of.
Nice velvets and stuff like that. Yeah, I get that.
I try to stay away from patterns for backdrops, because it otherwise becomes a bit like, oh, I can't see it.
It's like going on the beaver when they say you can't wear that pattern.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want it to go all the way crazy. Like movie. I mean, you know what I mean. Moving around.
And I use fabric. I make fabric journal covers and stuff like that.
And
it's the sewing on paper that it makes me go, it's like fingers down a blackboard. And it looks lovely when people do it.
What do you mean? So do you mean by sewing?
Like sewing around the edge of a tag or something like that.
I know, but like, is that because it makes you cringe, or is that because
I know the damage it's doing?
Okay. Well, whereas for me, fabric and paper next to each other makes me literally cringe because I don't like the sound of the two rubbing against each other, and that's why if I make a journal cover, I have to put something on the inside that isn't fabric, so the paper doesn't rub against the. Is that weird? It's like I don't like forks. I don't like squeaky cutlery on a plate.
No, I can't do that.
No, I know. I know you're the one. You cringe as much as I do about that.
And I'm usually the one doing it.
You're the one that'll squeak a knife across the plate, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But I can't. I also can't. Like, this is something that I was doing for my Give a Scrap challenge when I was using the aluminium trays.
Yeah.
I had a lasagna in one of them, and I was having to scrape it out, and I was using I could even thinking about it makes me feel horrible. I'd use a spoon on the aluminium.
You had a lasagna for you Give a Scrap. You've confused me there.
I had a lasagna in an aluminium tray.
Yeah.
That I cooked.
Yeah. And eaten before.
And I've eaten.
Right.
And then, but it leaves the residue, so I had to scrape that out so that I could wash it.
I see.
And it made me feel.
You jumped a few steps. You jumped a few steps there. I lost track.
Yeah, well, it's not hard, is it? I do kind of digress in the way that I talk and that sort of thing. So there are things that make me cringe. So when you said it upsets you about sewing, I don't know whether it made you cringe or whether it was because
it's because it's ruining your sewing machine when you do it. And because I use my sewing machine for sewing,
then what you need is a separate one.
Yeah, I know.
You need one that is for.
I know. When I upgrade my one that I've got and get a different one or a better one or a new one, then I'll use that for paper, and it'll be like my fabric scissors and won't be tied to anybody that goes near my fabric machine, sort of thing.
But yeah, that's about discipline, though, isn't it? Because that means that you have to use one for one purpose and the other for the other. You can't switch between the two.
I know, but I can do that really easily.
Yeah,
I can do it with. Do it fabric.
I wonder how an overlocker would work with journal making.
It's kind of nice.
What for? Have you used it with paper? Yeah. Have you?
Yes.
But like you said about like not wanting to use your sewing machine.
I didn't say I use it all the time. I've tried it.
So what? Hang on, an overlocker with paper. So like, but
that's 5 needles getting covered in glue rather than one needle getting covered in glue.
Although the stuff I tend to sew, I tend to not use a huge amount of glue on. So I'll use a bead of glue and then let it dry before I use it through a sewing machine. But you rarely let anything dry before you finish
it. I haven't got the time. I haven't got the time or the patience for that.
You've sent it to someone and it's still wet.
Yeah.
So.
And in fairness, when I did try it through my overlocker, it was a fabric cover. I had paper on the inside, but.
Oh dear, the thought of that.
But yeah, my overlocker worked quite well. And I'm I'm less attached to my overlocker, I suppose. Which, strangely, that didn't seem to bother me as much, but my sewing machine's just... And I think it's because it makes strange noises and it squeaks and it gets all glued up and I have to change the needle so often. And my eyesight's going, so I can't change the needle
And
so
now your
often.
eyesight's going, you can't see. Well, you didn't know who I was for 20
Years.
minutes this evening, so...
You know?
But, you know, just folks just out there, you need to nag him because he needs to get his glasses sorted because he uses off-the-peg reading glasses but still can't see a thing.
I can't see a thing for
His arms aren't long enough to read text anymore, so...
I don't read anymore. I just gave up. It's easier not to. That's why junk journaling's so good, because there are no rules, so you don't have to read anything. You just stick. Cut and stick.
Yes, that's true.
It's
You
dead
don't have to
easy.
see much, do you? Is it much easier
You don't have to measure. You can just say, yay much, that'll do.
Yeah, you don't have to thread a needle.
You do have to thread a needle occasionally.
What? When you're junk journaling?
If you're sewing
Well,
a button,
yeah, I know,
If
but
you're sewing
like
a button on or
I-
something, or doing a fancy stitch, maybe a bit of embroidery.
Yeah, but that's when you're doing fabric stuff. But if you're doing junk journaling, you don't tend to have to thread a needle. The needles that you have to thread for when you're sewing a journal together have got an eye that you could literally get an elephant through.
That's true.
So,
True.
well, I say literally, but obviously don't mean literally because like, it would just
But,
be
yeah,
enormous.
yeah,
It wouldn't fit in my craft room if you could literally get an elephant through it. So,
That's true. It wouldn't actually fit in my craft room, and I've got a big craft room.
no, you haven't got a big craft room, Brian.
I have.
Confession time, people.
I've got a
So-
big bedroom.
Yes, his bedroom is his craft room. So, like, literally, he sometimes just has so much stuff on his bed.
I sleep on the floor.
That
It's easier.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Don't laugh.
All right, has that happened?
Yeah.
All right, interesting.
When I've had several projects going at the same time and I don't want to move them, usually I can scoot everything over because it's a big bed. So I can scoot everything over so there's room for me and my current journal to get in together. But yeah.
So, just so you know as well, people, if there's been like rustling in the background, there isn't another person here called Russell. Brian has been sorting out. He's got a green collection going on here, and I was going to be
It's unintentionally green.
Yeah, no, because that's because your ink was running out.
No, my ink's not running out. My
Oh,
printer's
right,
doing.
sorry.
My printer's full of ink. My printer's doing this weird thing, and I've not worked out how to fix it yet.
This weird thing. Have you spoken to your IT support?
Well, my IT has been very lax at coming to see me. So
your IT needs to be invited to come and see you because I
My,
don't come and see you generally anyway. I'm his IT, by the way. So
my printer is saying that something's about to
explode.
expire or be
Not
full
explode.
or be finished, and it's not something that I can replace. And it means I won't be able to do borderless printing.
Something is about to expire.
I can't remember. Something. Like I said,
I deal
you weren't
with
there.
helping people out with IT all day, and I have these same conversations with other people.
I turned it
so-
on and I turned it off and it didn't work. It's still printing green. So rather than worrying about it, I just made a green journal.
Okay, fair enough. All right, you turned it off and turned it back on again, which is usually the place where I start. So have you turned it off and turned it back on again?
See, that much I know. I can usually ask you a question and go, I've already done that. So,
I mean, like we've obviously been chatting. We kind of want this to be fairly organic because I know that lots of people have used to enjoy us just having a bit of crafty banter because we used to do the Queen's speech, no, the Queen's teach. Sorry,
Queen's teach
every
at
Christmas, and we'd
the
have
alternative Queen's tea.
yeah, we'd have
Too much gin.
too much
generally.
gin.
Usually.
Go completely off topic.
It start with Prosecco and end with too much gin.
And this time we're
Christmas.
absolutely sober. So
It makes no difference.
no, yeah, it doesn't make any difference
No.
because the banter's still crazy.
It
and-
sounds exactly the same.
yeah, and it also so we wanted to do a bit of a podcast because it's filling that conversation that we don't get to craft together anymore, do we? Because your job means you work a lot.
Yep.
My job means I work a lot.
Yep.
Then Vic, when you're not here, Vic's here, and so and when Vic's here and you're here, it's not really the right time. We can't both go and do craft and leave Vic. Vic's my partner, so like I can't leave him just sat downstairs.
I don't think he'd notice.
No, I don't think he would.
Other than the fact that he'd have no one to lean on.
That's true. Yeah, he sleeps on me a lot. So, but he like leaving him down here. You know, well, if I left him down here, he'd eat me out of house and home, and then he'd leave a complete mess in the kitchen. So that's probably not a good idea.
In about 20 minutes flat.
Yeah. Do you know I came down the other morning to torn off leaves of lettuce in the sink. So, like, who wants to find that? It's bad enough finding a used tea bag in the sink.
I dread to think what his kitchen at work looks like.
I dread to think what his kitchen at home looks like, because there's nobody else there to check in on him.
Well, that's true. Maybe we should just turn up one day and check it out.
Maybe we should.
Get a health inspector with us. We've come to close you down.
So we thought we'd do a podcast because it means that we can sit in the living room, we can have a chat. It's also good for us because we don't get to chat as much anymore, do we?
It's true.
So we don't.
He got a boyfriend and left me.
And also, if we're sat together, we're usually catching up on something that we watch together.
Yeah.
Or you're sleeping.
Yeah, let's do that.
Brian drops off a lot, so yeah.
It's his sofa.
Yeah.
It's because I don't sit comfy anywhere else. If I'm at home, I sit in a chair at my desk.
Well, that's nice to know that you sit comfortable in my house.
From the minute I get up out of my bed, I sit at my desk on my chair.
It must mean it's a very relaxing environment.
It's my safe space. Oh. It's my safe corner.
Oh, that's nice.
So I don't go to sleep and nobody will poke me in the face. There's always strangers in my house. It's always full of people. So,
a lot of people fall
house.
asleep on this sofa though. So you fall asleep on it, and he falls. So Vic falls asleep on it. But
he falls asleep on you, yeah,
and then dribbles on me.
You're his cushion.
And I don't fall asleep, although I did last night. So fell asleep on.
You fall asleep when we're not here, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
And you've got the place to yourself.
So yeah, we kind of wanted to do a bit of a podcast because it's something we can do where we're not in the craft room together, because now I've reorganised the craft room to be able to focus on doing the stuff for the channel. There isn't the space in there for a second desk, and well, we did discuss it at the time.
I know. I was putting a sad face then.
And also we've got other things going on in our lives, but we thought if we commit to kind of doing a podcast, a weekly podcast, we don't have to appear on camera. We might do in future. We'll see how this goes.
I'll have to have a haircut first.
I'll have to have some reconstructive surgery first. I've got at the
We
moment.
must have scaffolding somewhere. Got everything else in that basement.
It'll take two strong lads and a wheelbarrow to lift my face. Sound like there'd be no face lifting for me.
I don't think there's a wheelbarrow down there. You might have to do with a trowel, a spade, and a ladder.
Like hit me with the trowel and then what? Use a craft scalpel. No, I think it's about doing stuff that we can do in the time that we have, a comfortable environment.
Yes,
we can have a chat, we can have a bit of a laugh, a bit of banter,
bit of a catch.
While Brian's talking, he's not sleeping.
That's true. Oh my God, is this like an evil plan to stop me sleeping?
Global domination is my next plan.
I'll never get to sleep at this rate.
But yeah, no, we might appear on camera at a later date. We might. It depends. We're just trying to play with this kind of like podcasty thing.
We thought we'd have a go, so we're having a go.
Yeah.
So there you go. We're having a go.
And I have.
We'll see how it goes.
At the moment, because I'm doing a lot of hours, I'm quite a bit stressed at work. My rosacea is quite bad on my. Yeah, Brian's starting to get rosacea. Brian wants everything I've got.
Oh no, you can keep your not
Can I
house
borrow
trained.
your rosacea?
You can keep your not house trained boyfriend.
No, I get terrible rosacea so on my forehead, on one side of my face,
It's
because
not looking
I have
terrible
to
at the
be
moment, though.
asymmetric with like my rosacea is only on one side of my face, and my nose, I get it really bad on my nose, and I'm very self-conscious about my nose because I've always had a large hooter. So you know the Airbus A380 that's got a smaller nose than I have. So but also mine's like kind of like somebody, I should be guiding someone's sleigh. So at the moment, because it's great.
It's not bad at the moment,
Isn't it?
No.
It feels
And your forehead looks really good. I've got it at the moment. Don't know what that's all about.
It's stress related. So
Stress, really.
yeah,
God.
stress and lack of sleep and dehydration and. Brian rolls his eyes at the thought of me saying about dehydration. But
Everything that happens in my life is because I'm dehydrated. Everything that happens.
do you know what?
Because I'm
It's the
dehydrated.
same. It's the same narrative with Vic, though. I say the same things to him. So whenever he says something, he's got an ailment or something's wrong, or something happened at work, I'll say,
Because you're dehydrated.
and the reason I can say it is because
You're super
I'm
hydrated.
super hydrated. Yes, like there are seas around the world that have less water in them than I do. So it's just for me, being hydrated is one of the things that cures all ills. All I'm thinking now is about being hydrated. And like Brian's having a drink now because he feels the need to hydrate.
I'm always hydrated with coffee.
Yeah, it's not always necessarily the best thing, though, is it? So, by the way, Brian's got a cup of coffee. I have a cup of tea. Try not to dangle the microphone in it.
No, try not to. That's not a good idea.
So yeah, it's doing a podcast.
It just adds to the therapy of craft.
Yeah,
it's another avenue, another outlet, another.
And we loaf like no, there's no bread involved in this.
I'm
I'm
not
going to
doing
show
it
you
then.
a meme for for bread. Anyway,
I'm not doing it if there's no bread. Everything should come with bread, or breadsticks, free bread, bread rolls. Where's the bread? Promise me bread. Not doing
But
it.
if you have bread and water, then you basically turn into a hedgehog, don't you? So,
I don't know, how does that work?
well,
Just bread
I
and
bet
water.
hedgehogs are super hydrated.
Do
Oh
they-
no, they don't. You're not allowed to feed them bread and water anymore.
What?
Oh,
Where
I
do-
told you I digress. I don't know where my brain goes.
Okay. I was just trying. No, I was just thinking if I drink bread and water, where do the spikes come? You said I'd turn into a hedgehog. Where do my spikes come from?
No, I didn't say you turned into a hedgehog. I said hedgehogs eat bread and water. Well, they used to. When we were kids, that's what we were told to feed them. But now we're told no, you shouldn't do that because they swell up.
That's what's wrong with me. Too much bread and water. I'm not
No,
super hydrated.
trust
I'm
me,
super.
it's not
I'm super breaded.
Yes. You're definitely not going to be swelling up. You don't drink enough water, Brian. So,
Back on that old chestnut again.
and you know why?
Why?
Because you're dehydrated. The thing's gone off again. So yeah, the whole point of doing this is like another avenue, and we got a whole load of things that we were going to talk about. And do you know something? I think we've been talking about 3 hours now. So I don't know, 24 minutes. That's fine.
That's all right.
I was looking up podcast lengths and what's the best length.
4
of podcast.
foot 6.
If you're on your own, talking for about 40 minutes is about right. Well, if I'm on my own, I talk for about 3 days. So,
God, if I'm on my own, I hum and I talk and I never stop. People often ask who's in there with you.
do they?
Yeah.
All right. Well, nobody asked me that because I live in a house on my
You
own,
live
and
in a
if
house
there's
of your
somebody in the house, like they've broken in.
I have two of the people.
That's not the topic of the conversation.
Two of the
that we have.
people that live in my house, and then 2 of the people that are occasional visitors every other weekend, or every holiday, or every day, or too much.
I see.
I take that back. I didn't say that.
Yeah, be careful. Who's going to listen to this? So, yeah. So one of the things that we kind of wanted to talk about, it's kind of gone a bit quiet, hasn't it?
Hasn't it? How did you get into craft then? What made you start crafting? Who made you start crafting? What did they force you to do?
Since the Spanish Inquisition. Yeah. Nobody was ever expecting the Spanish Inquisition. Reference Monty Python.
Life of Brian.
Yeah, the life of Brian. Yes.
Weren't my life.
No. I still keep writing your name as Brain.
Lots of people do. It's just
wrong every time.
Everybody I know at some point or other has written Brain instead of Brian.
I do it with Diane as well, though.
What, you call her Brian as well? Why? She doesn't look like me. Well, I don't know. Short or fat, but
but the A and the I the wrong way round all the time. So yeah. So why did I get into craft? I got into craft because, well, I crafted right from the very start. Came out the womb crafting. No,
I came out the womb knitting.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, yeah. My grandma taught me to knit and sew.
Mine too.
Because I've got 3 older sisters, and so it was there's a boy, what do we do? And they just basically
did what
cookie cutter, did
you'll
everything.
do what we do, and that
yeah, exactly. We've got all the stuff, we can do that. It definitely encouraged my creativity, because when I was a small child, I was thinking back about this. I didn't make paper crafts, so my parents and my grandparents weren't into paper crafting, but they were all fairly crafty in some way.
Uh-huh.
And as a child, I used to make things like out of Lego. So I could make things that weren't on the Lego box. I made a monorail that went all the way around my bedroom, for instance.
Is that what this is going to be?
Yeah, basically. I have to collect Lego again, folks, just in case you wondered.
Yeah, there's Lego on shelves here.
So, but I created things like that. So, because I like to replicate the world, that's what I do in craft. And I used to make little miniatures out of all stuff.
You know, I've been on a monorail.
Have you?
Yeah,
I
called
don't know it. But if you hum
Ban.
it, I'll sing. Oh yes.
And they put an elephant on it.
That's no way to talk about you. Were you eating a lot of bread that day?
Yeah, I was very swollen.
Were you hydrated though?
No. It's called the Schweberbahn. It was the monorail was at the top of the coach.
Isn't it in Germany?
It's in Germany, yeah.
Yeah.
And to prove that it was safe, when they all first opened it, they put an elephant on it. There you go. And I've been on it, and it doesn't feel as safe as it probably did when they opened it. 'Cause it's old and creaky now, going above the streets.
But so are you.
Well, there is that. I wasn't back then.
No,
when I went on it, but these days.
So yeah, so I used to make miniature things. So I used to used to get like food on those plastic on the polystyrene trays. I used to get meat on a polystyrene tray with cling film over the top. Yeah. I used to make them into things like sofas and tables and chairs, and I used to create lots of little miniature things when I was a child. Obviously, there's the sewing side of things, and then as I got older, that kind of died away because when you're trying to be cool and hang out with people and be popular, crafting isn't one of the things that makes you popular. Not when you're young, anyway.
Now,
I guess that's the only way to be popular is to be a crafter.
It's just finding the right crowd of people.
And then when my mental health deteriorated after the breakup between me and my husband at the time, it was another thing to go back to that helped me focus on something else that wasn't all the chaos going on in the world.
Fair enough.
So how did you get into craft?
Well, it depends what sort of craft we're talking about.
Well, yeah,
much like you.
At the very beginning. It's a very good place to start.
So, I was one boy amongst a football team. I was one of 5 boys, and there were boys everywhere. All my aunts had boys. Everybody had boys. There were no girls. And obviously, I was the nearest thing to a girl they could find, so they taught me everything.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandmother was very wise. When I was very young, she said to me, "You're going to be a bachelor when you grow up, so you need to know how to sew and cook and do all these things because you're going to be looking after yourself and you'll be very good at it, but you'll be a bachelor." Because she didn't know the word for homosexual back then. But
I don't know the word for homosexual now. So,
so she taught me all those things, and she got me into sewing. And I would remember I used to draw princesses a lot and big ball gowns when I was very small. And I didn't want to be a princess; I just wanted to make the clothes.
well, we would have been great to know back like each other back then, because I used to make lots of domestic appliances from.
We could have had our own range of like
So I used to
Barbie
make
or
like
something.
washing machines and dishwashers, like miniatures that actually worked and all sorts of things.
Yeah, and I made dresses. So we, like me and my 4 brothers, we all used to get Action Men for Christmas, and I used to cut up pillowcases, and mine would be a nurse. Used to make it little dresses and everything, proper hats and the whole kit and caboodle. And that's how I ended up going to fashion college, because of that.
You see, I never did anything like that because I can't really draw. I can digitally draw, but I can't draw. I say I can't. I guess like nobody in the family draws, so
That's just practice, especially for stuff like fashion drawing, because it's a very specialised. You've got to make them so tall and so long and an extra head high, and so they're elongated and big shoulders. Well, 80s, big shoulders.
yeah. And I guess the reason. So why do you continue to craft now? So why do you craft now? So you're no longer making dresses for
No,
dolls, although you did go through a period of making
dresses for drag
dresses
queens.
for drag queens. So it's
So
like
a very long period.
like
of
grown-up dolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I moved back to Yorkshire and kind of retired. Why do I craft? I don't know, because my brain had exploded if I didn't. Because I see something and I want to have a go at it, and then halfway through I think of something else and I want to have a go at that, and I find something else and I want to go at that, and that sparks 15 other things that I want to try,
Yeah.
and then I go off in 7 different directions in 4 different speeds, and my brain doesn't stop until I've done it all.
Yeah,
And that's why I do it.
And I think that's where I use craft for me is a great way to de-stress, almost like decompression from the day. Because if I'm not physically crafting, I'm creating a new digital or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I find it really good for a decompression side of things. From the decompression side of things,
Yeah.
stops me getting the bends.
Yeah.
But also it's I like an outlet, and I do things a bit like you. I see something and I want to make it, and then I like this, and then that takes me to somewhere else that I then do something else, and my brain's quite active all the time, and I think that's quite.
But I think that's just part of being creative.
Part of being, I do think that's part of being creative.
Because
that's why we're both night owls. I think a lot of creative people do tend to be up late.
Yeah, I think that's because people's brains don't shut down when they're creative.
Yeah.
So, and that's why most creative people struggle as well, because their brains don't shut down. So they go from, I've had this idea, oh my god, it's fabulous. Oh my god, it is fabulous. Oh my god, oh, it's horrible. No, I hate it. No, I've got to change it. Got to do this. Nobody will like it. Throw it away. Do it. I'm going to leave it. So and you do that. Woohoo, woohoo.
It's
like jumping through hoops and up and down on a roller coaster.
It's like roller coaster. It's the peaks and troughs.
No.
Yeah, I think one of the problems that I struggle with is I guess I struggle with it anyway. Being autistic, I struggle to kind of find my place in the world, but I also find it hard to find my place in the craft world, because I do things a bit different, and I'm constantly trying to bring myself back into the mainstream of things, but then I don't want to do everything the same way as everybody else.
Yeah, that's the thing. So that's a battle you're always going to have then, because you're battling to get back into a mainstream that you don't really don't want to be in.
Yeah, I don't.
It's like I've always said to you, though, you've just got to do for you.
I know
as much as you can.
I completely understand how some people struggle with the comparison to other people. So I'm not saying that other people compare me to other people, but I compare me to other people, and I know that other people feel like that. I know that they struggle with, oh well, I can't do that because other people have done that and they've done it so much better. But I think by being honest on my channel and being who I am, and I'm warts and all, I rarely edit.
Yeah.
I show the good and the bad and show the mistakes. And that's because I want to encourage other people to be who they are and not worry, even though I know it's something that I worry. I want everybody to be amazing, and I don't care if that doesn't include me. Do you understand what I mean? So I want people to be their best self.
Yeah, but you should be your best self too.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't... It's a struggle. It's a struggle. Because, again, it's about me fitting in. And one thing I really... Do you know, as a child, that's the one thing. If I could turn back time... If I could turn back... I'd be Cher. No. If I could turn back time, I would love to go back and be popular, because I was a bit of a odd bod on my own, and although that gave me an outlet of being creative and making monorails in my bedroom and that sort of thing, I would like to experience what it was like to be popular, because I've never been popular.
I suppose it depends what you call popular.
Do you know, like hanging around with the... So having friends at school, for instance. So I know it's not a maudling conversation.
No,
I'm
no,
not saying that it's a negative on me. I'm not saying I would change anything about me now. But if I could go back in time, I'd like to experience what it was like from the other side of the fence, to be the popular people.
Well, I won't want to. I like to be.
But you were a popular person.
I wasn't a popular person. I was one of the weird ones.
Yeah, I know, but you had friends.
Yeah, I was the head of the weird ones.
Yeah.
But I was definitely one of the weird ones.
Yeah, well, I wasn't. I was a weird one, and I was the head of the weird ones because I was the only weird one.
I came from a place with lots of weird ones.
Yeah, it's a bit like being a team leader of no one.
Yeah. I came from a place that had lots of weird ones, and the weird ones sought me out. And then I went to London, which was full of even weird ones, and loved it. So do you find it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's. I
think it's more finding your people.
I'd love to have had that. Yeah, finding your people.
Yeah.
And I think I found my people now.
Yeah. I think you have.
But I'd like to meet some of these people because they're just people
one day.
On the end of somewhere.
Yeah, one day. One day we will meet them. We shall go forth and meet them.
Yes. So, have we kind of covered our topics? So what we want from you, folks out there, we, the collective we,
That's
the Brian
me.
and the Dave and Brian,
The us.
the us and them, the them and us. We want you to, like every time I say something, a song goes through my head. So we want you to ask us some questions, because then that'll form a narrative for more podcasts. We want to know, do you think we should do this again? And we want to encourage you to kind of contribute, maybe.
Get involved.
Yeah, get involved.
Come and play. Say something.
Yeah. But yeah, so we will talk about further topics as we move forward. We'd like this. We're going to commit to doing this and see how it goes. Not sure of how regular it will be at the moment. I don't think we've discussed that.
I don't think we have either.
But we kind of think that we're going to aim for about a 40-minute, 45-minute conversation. And what we're thinking is you could be crafting whilst you're listening to us. Yeah. And we can keep you company.
Yeah.
where you're not having to, because that's one of the things I struggle with is like watching somebody do something means I end up watching them and not doing something.
Yeah. Or not reading your comments when you're living or
yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
So we're coming up. Well, we're coming up to 40 minutes. We are at 40 minutes. Although I think we might have done a bit of a sound check at the beginning of here. So I'm not sure.
So what you working on at the moment, Mr. Dash?
I am just doing some kind of prep for videos. So there's a couple of boxy things I want to try out because I like making the construction-y things, and there's that whole big journal-y thing that I want to make for putting all of my correspondence stuff in. But I'm kind of planning what I'm going to do with that at the moment and how that's going to go filming-wise. But I've been doing a lot of flip-through of books and things. There's going to be some more book flip-throughs, by the way.
I know, cool books.
Yeah, some
very cool books.
Some good books that I've bought blind, and I think you might like as well. So, and what are you working on, Mr. Fox?
I'm working on a set of medieval journals and a medieval logbook, which I'm trying to film. But the problem is my brain works so fast.
The problem is they're medieval and cameras didn't exist then.
No, it's terrible. The problem is that I kind of started doing all the medieval stuff using your kits, thinking I'll film.
Well done for dropping my name there with my kits.
I thought I'd film it as I went, and then the next time I went back to it, I'd film another episode. But the problem is, when I start something, I can't put it down. So I'm like, I need something in between the medieval to obsess about. Well, I'm not obsessing about the medieval, otherwise half the medieval will be done and not filmed. So I started obsessing with all the steampunk stuff. So now I've got two obsessions, and at the same time,
couldn't you put the camera on though, and just do it and not worry about talking to the camera? Because you could always put it on and do a voice over of it, but at least you're doing something.
You could.
Well,
I can barely switch it on and focus it.
That's because you can't focus.
Well,
because you've got no glasses.
There is that, but it's also technology, and
Yeah, no, but I can talk you through things.
It passed me by, the technology. People say something.
Didn't pass you by.
It did. People say iPhones, and I go, oh. As long as it makes a call, and as long as I can put it down somewhere and leave it, so I don't have to answer it.
It didn't pass you by though, because you're the same age as I am. Well,
I know,
except for you're 8 months older.
Rude.
But it's about your need to know of technology. Do you need to know how to use it? I do, because that's what I do for my job.
I don't, because I've got you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like learning a language. If you learn German and you only ever speak to the computer that's teaching you German, you'll never learn German. You have to use it.
Die Blumen sind für Sie, Frau Speaker. The first German thing. The first German thing I had to say to a German person who didn't speak English, when my friend took me to his mum's house in the Black Forest, and I stood at the door with a bunch of flowers, and he just kept saying, "Just say this, just say this, just say this." I did.
Whereas, what's the French that you know?
And she loved me. What?
What's the French that you know?
What's the French that I know?
Yeah.
I can't say.
Cat.
Oh, le chat is sur la table.
The cat is under the table, is that correct?
On
the table, okay.
I learned that at school. It's the only thing that ever stuck. So I've never had to use it. I've never been in a restaurant where there's a cat on a table. And they've got cat cafes these days. I've still not seen a cat on a table. Just one of those things. Hey ho.
So, yes, anyway.
It's the only level I never passed. I failed my French O-level.
Did you?
Yeah.
I didn't do any of them. So.
Sad.
I could barely cope with English. So.
I know. Everything else passed. I've got loads of them. But that one failed miserably. Like that.
So on that note, folks, we're coming up to 45 minutes.
So medieval journals, steampunk stuff, which is my current obsession, which I brought to look through there. And I'm trying to organise all the drag queens on the run so I can do flip-throughs. and make sure they're all in order and ready to go, and boom.
Thank you. Well, thanks very much, Brian. Thank you for being part of this.
Quite all right. It's busy in my head, you see.
Thank you for being part of this podcast.
It's been quite interesting. It's like having a conversation.
Yeah,
with you.
It is. Just like that.
Just like that.
And yeah, so we're going to love and leave you, and we will be hopefully back for another one. If you want us to come back, that is. So
whether you like it or not,
feedback.
We'll be back for a couple, whether you like it or not, until somebody shows 15 times, no, don't do it, no, don't do it, no, and then maybe. Like Beetlejuice in it.
And then when we see you again, you might have asked us some questions, and we can go through those, and we might cover some of the topics that we didn't cover today.
Yeah.
So
we might. Or we might just carry on like this.
Oh, we might just be a whole heap of crazy. Who knows? But we're going to have to kind of round up anyway, because we're on 46 minutes.
Round up.
So we are going. Oh, the other thing, a bit of participation you could be involved in, you folks out there. What should we call this? Because it'd be good to have a name for this podcast. At the moment, we're calling it Craft, Banter and Chat. So CBC, not CBT.
Also known as the Madness of Dave and Brian.
And yeah, so get involved, let us know, and we will speak to you all again soon, is all I can say. So, say goodbye, Brian.
Goodbye, Brian.
And goodbye from me.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say before we go? No. Okay.
Rude. No.
Thanks very much, folks.
Thank
we'll see you all soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, no.
Oh, go on.
Don't you have to say something?
What?
No.
No, I love you all without exception. Is part of my YouTube channel, not part of the podcast.
No, but it's part of your dash.
There's a dash of me in everything.
On that note, we're going.
Goodbye,
I'm going to go wash my hands.
Take care. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.